small town Virginia, rural area, but we have, you can eat from all over the world. You can have Cuban food one night. You can have Thai the next. We've had Laotian restaurants. Really, our variety is really, really wonderful.
Welcome to Being the Change, the official podcast of James Madison University, brought to you by Madison Magazine. Each episode brings you stories of how members of the JMU community combine intellect with action to live lives of purpose and meaning. That's being the change.
What's up, JMU? Andy Perrine here. Welcome to Being the Change. This episode is going to explore one of my favorite aspects of Harrisonburg, and that is the food scene in Harrisonburg. Harrisonburg's become quite the food scene, which I love. I'm originally a New Yorker, so having places to choose from in town is really at the top of my list in terms of amenities. And with us to speak about the food scene in Harrisonburg are two luminaries on the food scene in the Burg. Sarah Golubart-Gorman, food writer and storyteller, writes the Friendly City Foodie, which you can find on Substack. It's also carried by the Harrisonburg Citizen. She's all over LinkedIn, and you can read lots of great stories about the food scene in Harrisonburg. And also, Chef Rachel Fitzgerald is with us. She is head chef at Magpie Diner and Bakery, which is a very hip place on the north side of downtown. It's been covered in Southern Living. You can't drive by there without seeing a line of people waiting to get in. It really is become one of the more popular destinations in downtown. So welcome to you both.
Thanks for having us, Andy.
Thanks for being here. Well, now, one of the things I think that, or a couple of the things I think that make Harrisonburg different than a lot of food scenes is that there's a really interesting sort of crossroads between international and also farm to table. There's over 70 languages spoken in the Harrisonburg City schools. There's JMU students come from 97 different countries, and all the people who've settled here like to bring their food with them. And so there's tons and tons of really interesting choices to make in terms of ethnic food from all over the world. It's wonderful. We're the number one agricultural county in the state, so there's a lot of farms. There's a lot of great resources that are close to home for the chefs to make magic out of. And I'd really love to hear, Sarah, from your perspective, how those different elements combine to make what's really become an interesting scene.
Absolutely. So when I heard you talking about all the different culinary things Harrisonburg has to offer, I was thinking about some research I did a while ago about why we have so much great Latino food in Harrisonburg. So it goes back to the 80s and 90s when folks were coming from Central America to harvest apples, grapes, work in our orchards and vineyards.
Sure, right.
And a lot of those folks decided to stay, built wealth, bought land in Rockingham County and Harrisonburg. And now we have over 20 places where you can get amazing Central American food, Honduran food, Mexican food, Salvadoran food. And it is amazing. Like really, really high quality, homemade tortillas, menudo, just really authentic stuff that you wouldn't think you'd find in this agricultural town that we're a part of. So I'm really excited about, especially our Latino offerings in Harrisonburg.
And you're doing a documentary about a Latino bakery, aren't you?
Yes. I'm working on a documentary about El Paisano Bakery. It's called Hola Paisano, and it follows the story of the two Mexican-American bakery owners, their story, kind of how they got started and what their dreams are for the future, raising their family in Harrisonburg. And that's going to come out at the Hispanic Film Festival in October. At Court Square Theater.
Oh, that's going to be great. Well, and there's in Harrisonburg, in the city limits, there's over 80 independently owned restaurants, which is phenomenal for a small town of 54,000 people. And Magpie is like really one of the shining lights at this point, a favorite of a lot of folks. Where did the inspiration come from your menu in the context of this wonderful crossroad?
Yeah, well, I find Harrisonburg just such a beautiful, unique area. My family moved here when I was about 16, and they moved to the country in Dayton. And there I was able to meet some country cooks and kind of discover the art of country cooking through them. And then over the years, moving into Harrisonburg, working in Harrisonburg school systems, coming up against people from all over the world. It really helped influence our menu. We change it regularly.
It's famous for changing regularly.
Yeah. We try to keep ourselves on our toes, really. So, the heart of what we do is breakfast, and people eat breakfast all over the world. So, I'm just so inspired by the different communities in this town and trying to pay homage to what they cook.
And how do you pay homage with food?
Well, a lot of reading, a lot of eating, a lot of traveling, and then trying to bring elements into what we do without necessarily doing a perfect rendition, but doing a variation on a theme.
I find it interesting that, there's a lot of talk of when you borrow another culture's art or something, you might be misappropriating. But usually with food, it's more about complementing that culture. Do you find the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have people from all over the world who work at Magpie as well. And it's so fun to do a special. One of our beloved cooks, Hugo Morales, he did Hugo's home plate special, and it was plantains and beans and eggs from Guatemala, where he grew up, just sort of in that vein. Yeah.
Well, I think the best internationally influenced thing I had at Magpie was a lamb burger that was made in sort of a Greek style that was really. It got all over me, frankly. I was so excited.
Thanks. I really was excited about that one. A little halloumi, a little lamb.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong.
It was phenomenal. That's great. Well, one of the things that makes Harrisonburg unique in the food realm is that way back in 2014, 11 years ago, the city, the downtown district, was named the first culinary district in Virginia, and Harrisonburg Downtown Renaissance helped make that happen, and they took the model from I think somewhere in New Jersey, but Harrisonburg is the first culinary district in Virginia. What does that mean, Sarah, for a small town like us to have that distinction?
I think, the way the Harrisonburg does it, I think, is really fun. Every March, which is typically a slower time in the restaurant industry, we have our restaurant month. And we have a gathering where we have an opportunity for a bunch of different local restaurateurs, cooks, chefs to gather together, and you can register and come to this downtown tasting event. And so it's a chance for the chefs to communicate and to fellowship, and then for, the people like me, the foodies, to just be in one room full of so many different delicious options and tastes. And because I think it's hard being in the restaurant industry because you're busy. Running a restaurant, being a chef, it's not for the faint of heart.
Right.
And so in order, when I like the way that Harrisonburg really cultivates the community aspect of it, because otherwise it's really hard for chefs to share ideas and collaborate and talk.
Is cross-pollination in making a lively culinary scene?
Oh, I think it's vital.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most valuable ways of cross-pollinating is through what you mentioned before, Andy, the farm-to-table food scene. And, I mentioned, being a chef is challenging, and it's even more challenging to source your ingredients locally.
Sure.
But you'll see Rachel at the farmer's market. She shows up. I also work there, so I see her there. So she puts her money where her mouth is, and will text me like, "Is this certain thing there?" So she can get it for the restaurant, which is really cool. But yeah, it's a lot easier, and this is no shame on people who do this, to order from Cisco and to just punch the buttons because how many of an ingredient is coming, when it's going to come. It's reliable. But when you're looking to purchase things seasonally and to feature local ingredients, it requires a lot more effort. And so, hats off to the folks who do that. Machida is one that really makes an effort to source things locally and have a seasonal menu. Same thing with Bella Luna. They like to do that as well. Cuban Burger sources all of their meat from Glendore Farms. So there are lots of places that do make the extra step to source their ingredients locally, and it makes a huge difference in the lives of the farmers that are around us, but also in the tastes that we're able to enjoy on the plates in town.
Well, Rachel? I'm assuming you try to buy things that are seasonal. How does that affect your relationship with your customers and bringing them through the seasons and being aware that different foods are for different times?
Yeah, I think a really wonderful thing that has been set up with Magpie is just the fact that we, are constantly changing, able to respond to what is going on in our environment, what's growing, what's popping off, and just, being able to make dishes from there. I think as I said, we change our menu about every weekend for brunch, and then our breakfast, lunch menus, we're changing them 4 to 6 times a year just to keep up with the season. So it's really special seeing customers come back, and sometimes we'll bring back a special dish that we've had in the past, but for the most part, I think the relationship we've bonded with is the fact that, just people who want something unique and constantly surprising. And
also, they typically leave after going through the bakery, don't they? The bakery at Magpie is phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's another, we've had... it's amazing how much they're always pushing themselves to bake more, always changing their flavors and what they're offering. I'm just amazed by what they're able to do there.
I think I had a rye cookie that was salted that just absolutely slayed me. Sarah is nodding and rolling her eyes back in her head.
I had a cherry, some sort of cherry pastry that did a similar thing to me, knocked me on my booty.
We just talked about that in a meeting this morning. That is going off the bakery menu for a little while.
The cherry thing?
Yes.
Oh Lord, why?
I think just cherries in general. We're starting to move past cherry season.
It's true. Yeah. Got to move on to peaches and soon apples.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Sarah, when you're looking for local stories to tell, you're a storyteller about food. You're not just a reviewer of restaurants or foods. What do you look for in a story that can make it compelling to your readers?
I think I look for the thing that makes me go, huh. Or I want to know more about that. So for instance, we have a fantastic baker in town, Nico Melas, and he does sourdough bread made with locally sourced stone ground grain. And it is so unique and so delicious. And he's half Peruvian. He has this crazy story. He's trained in France.
He's also a musician, isn't he?
He's also a musician. Yeah. He's done some bike touring with my husband. And
Sarah's husband is Jeff Gorman in Illiterate Light. Many of you know about that band. Find him
on Spotify, YouTube. But so Nico's story was really interesting and fascinating to me. And so, things like that. Or, writing about Magpie, because Rachel, changing the menu on a weekly basis is crazy. It's nuts, because you have to convey that to your whole team and have your, all your prep ready, but it is so exciting to have that. And so finding little moments and things when people are kind of really going the extra mile, and someone may not know how special or unique that is. And so being able to illuminate that and educate the reader is really fun for me.
And I buy Nico's bread all the time, but one of the reasons I love to buy from him is because his kids work for him at the farmer's market, and they're such dear kids.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're all doing a great job.
Yeah, they are. Well, what are some of the, you just described a challenge of changing the menu all the time. I mean, just explaining that to your wait staff is probably a real trick, and getting them to remember.
Indeed, yes.
Well, what are some of the bigger challenges that the food scene faces in Harrisonburg? You were talking about, March being a slow month. That's when we do the
the Taste of Downtown month.
Taste of Downtown, to get folks out when it's a typically slow time. What are some of the other challenges that the restaurant scene faces?
Prices of ingredients, supplies, labor. Really, it's prices, because you want to be able to pay your people well and to buy high quality ingredients, and then also keep your plates at a reasonable price for your consumer, which is a really difficult dance. And so you'll see these places. I also write about food in Charlottesville, which is a bit of a bigger food scene, and their turnover is really unfortunate, because you have these really ambitious folks that have a dream, they have a vision, they kind of set out, they start, but then they close because of just things cost a lot. You know, ever since COVID, we've seen a really big increase in the cost of ingredients and supplies, and all across the country, restaurants are feeling that.
And so the consumer's probably going out to eat less, right?
Yeah. Not me though. Can't help it. The bank is hurting, but the belly is happy.
Well, do you have a favorite in town, Sarah, or do you not want to say so, since you want to maintain objectivity and since you're sitting next to a head chef?
Oh no, I will blast off about my favorites. Because they're kind of always changing, but I have some stalwarts that are some faves. Indian American Cafe is, whenever I leave town for a while, I come home, and this is the same thing for my husband. We have to get chicken sog. Me, spice level 2, him, spice level 3. And it's just so comforting. And that restaurant also has a really interesting history as well. They've been around since the 90s.
Right.
They've been in the same family. It's Nepalese cooking, and it's just so delicious. So I love Indian American.
I had friends who lived in the apartments above the Indian American Cafe, and they smelled like Indian food all the time because of their clothes. Yeah.
The best perfume.
It is. What else?
I love the Little Grill, which is a little bit of a rival to Magpie over here, but I love Magpie too, the bakery especially, and anything Rachel makes. But Little Grill too is just another like comfort, homey place. It's where Jeff and I committed to being in a relationship, where we, solidified the bonds. And the pancakes, the huevos, oh my gosh, everything there is just so homey and delicious.
And they've been around for a long time too.
They have, since the 50s.
That's right. There's a famous photograph of Bob Hope serving pancakes in the Little Grill when he was in town appearing at JMU.
That's awesome.
Many years ago. Yeah, I love that place too. Well, one of the things that I think a lot of folks would be interested to hear is, especially since The Bear is such a popular show on TV right now, Rachel, as head chef of a place that is sometimes in total mayhem because of its popularity, how do you keep a cool head when things are swirling back there in the kitchen?
Yeah, it can get pretty wild in a kitchen, no matter what. And I've come up in places where there have been lots of yelling, lots of plate throwing, that kind of stuff. But I really have to give props to my boss, Kirsten Moore. She's the visionary behind the restaurant. And what she really had a vision for, along with this, not just the food, but the staff, that we're just emotionally intelligent human beings who want to work hard and then have time to have a life and interests outside of work. So yeah, when it gets crazy, we can have, in the restaurant business, we call it covers. We can have about 450 covers in a day, that's how many people we're feeding.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, when we've got 450 covers, we just all, just kind of know what we're there for. And I have an amazing staff who's pretty much been there since the start for about 5 years now.
That's rare.
It is.
Yeah.
So I just really, my sous chef, Chris Puffenbarger, he's an amazing person, and he can run the line with a lot of ease and grace and communicate clearly. But yeah, it takes every single person who's working there to be on their game for the food to come to the customer.
Right.
And it's the dishwashers, it's the bussers, it's the cooks, it's our servers. Like, everyone really has to put their head down and still remember that even though it's stressful, it's, we're not going to be screaming at each other or belittling each other. But I've certainly been in environments like that and have no desire to replicate that.
And Rachel, you should tell them about your tickets too, because in the world of technology becoming more and more prevalent, a lot of restaurants use technology for ordering and organizing that kind of stuff. Usually you see Toast, you'll have like a little iPad-y type thing. But Rachel has decided to go a different direction.
Yeah, we keep it old school. Of course, servers are putting tickets into a computer, but that just comes out like an old school ticket that our person who we call them the expo, they just pick it up and read and call out to each station what needs to get cooking. And you can see it in any kind of corporate restaurant environment. If you look back in the kitchen, everyone has a computer and they've got their headphones in and they're all just kind of in their own little worlds. But I think something about the tangible piece of paper just moving along the paths just gets people, it's just nice to have something tangible to be able to, you start and then you finish and the food goes out. And I like keeping it old school like that.
Well, you can see the progress of the ticket, but also everybody's dialed into the same thing rather than independent with their headphones on, looking at their screen. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, why don't you tell our listeners, from your perspective, since you are so dialed into the scene, why you think the Harrisonburg culinary scene is unique and why it's something that all of us should be proud of?
Absolutely. I would love to share about that. I think, Andy, you hit on it earlier with the variety that we have. Small town Virginia, rural area, but we have, you can eat from all over the world. You can have Cuban food one night. You can have Thai the next. We've had Laotian restaurants. You can have, what else can you have? Mexican, Honduran.
Well, you mentioned mashita for
Korean.
Great Korean.
There's a Ukrainian bakery. Really, our variety is really, really wonderful. So that's a reason to celebrate Harrisonburg's food scene. Also, our farmers. We have a really, really fantastic local food economy. The Harrisonburg Farmers Market, open Tuesdays and Saturdays, is such a gem in this area because you have a lot of folks who are Mennonite or just back to the landers who are choosing this simple and challenging path in life to be raising animals on pasture, which is such a beautiful thing. We have, like during the big egg crisis, we had no issue getting eggs because we have really amazing farmers that are raising chickens on pasture and really high quality eggs.
And they didn't raise the prices down at the farmers market.
No, it's like $5 or $6 a dozen. Yeah. So it was amazing. And then our vegetable farmers too. You have so much variety. We just had our tomato fest at the farmers market. Over 40 varieties of heirloom tomatoes. So it's just so much to explore here in Harrisonburg, whether you're in the restaurant, scene downtown, or if you're going to go explore, the Mount Crawford Creamery in the county, or go pick, blueberries at Hickory Hill Farm. There's just so much to explore and experience.
Thank you for that. Well, and thank you both for joining us on Being the Change. Sarah, of the Friendly City Foodie, follow her on Substack. A lot of great stories. If you don't live in town, read up on some stories so you know where to go when you get here. But of course, make a stop at Magpie, the diner and the bakery. Rachel, thank you for being with us and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
And Sarah, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Andy.
And if you have remember listeners, if you have any ideas about future episodes of Being the Change, you can reach us at beingthechange@jmu.edu. Until next time, go Dukes.
Thanks for listening. Subscribe to hear more stories about how members of the JMU community are being the change. Dive deeper and explore countless other stories at jmu.edu/Madison Magazine. Go Dukes!
The Being the Change podcast was conceived by Jim Heffernan, editor of Madison Magazine, and me, Andy Perrine, head of JMU Marketing. Thanks to Jenna Polk and her team at the Rose Library Studios, where the show is recorded by Cody Troyer, Steve Adderton, and Olive Santos, all of the crazy talented JMU Photo Video team, who then produced the final episodes at the Ice House in downtown Harrisonburg. Original music by 2019 alumnus Neil Perrine. You can find the Being the Change podcast on all the popular platforms where we hope you'll like, share, and subscribe.